Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time for some more health talks with Dr. Trin, well-known physician here in Orange County, and his friends, his community, as we expand the show into including others involved in the area of, well, let them talk about it. I think most of it has to do with longevity and wellness, like our guest here today, Dr. Neal Patel, who works in geriatrics and has his own practice, where, in the city of Orange, I think, is where you have it?
That's correct.
So we're going to talk a little bit about, this is a topic everybody wants to know about. We've done so many topics here at OCTalkRadio about health, including a whole series we did on, as we'll talk maybe for a second, about the Clotho conference, this amazing protein that may be the key ingredient to longer life and more longevity. Everything from Alzheimer's to hair loss, everything that happens as your body ages here. So that was here at our studio is located at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center, where they have all these drug labs and research centers and all this stuff here, and they're always trying to do cutting-edge stuff, mostly with biotech and medicines, quite often regarding longevity, as this last clinic was. That's the world you work in. What do you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I'm a physician, and like you mentioned, I have a private practice in the city of Orange, and my main focus has been on adults, but most of my patients are geriatrics, so usually that's defined as 65 and older. And
that's me. That's the crowd I'm in.
65 is the new 50, I would say.
I like that.
And for us, my goal is always to help my patients basically help themselves. And I grew up a lot I'm Indian, and I grew up with less pills and a lot of herbal remedies.
Like Indian Ayurvedic and
exactly,
all that stuff, right?
Turmeric and different herbs. And I've now have an opportunity to practice more of a holistic approach. And with a lot of interest in longevity, I've pivoted to incorporate that into my practice along with traditional medicine.
So let's take that apart a little bit here. So were you always interested in this topic, or is this something you discovered in medical school?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've taken ibuprofen 800 milligrams once in my life, and I remember exactly when I took it.
Only once in your life?
Only once in my life, and I remember exactly when I took it. I think I've always leaned towards fewer medicines.
I'm a child of the 60s, so that's like me saying I only took acid once or something.
Exactly. No, so I grew up, like I said, with that kind of background, and going through med school, going through my residency, which is our postgraduate training, I got a understanding of the field and saw, wow, is my job description just to prescribe pills? Is that really all my value is after all this?
That's what started this show years ago with Dr. Trin, who similarly had a practice, I think in Laguna Woods, where he dealt with mostly older patients. And everybody was saying, I need more than just the pill. And so he started experimenting and looking around. He got on the board of Alzheimer's and started doing research and gave up private practice. I'm putting words in his mouth, maybe a little bit, because he was frustrated because he didn't have enough tools in his toolbox here.
Yeah, exactly. As with our population is aging, and Alzheimer's is becoming a little bit of a more common, more concerning topic for a lot of people.
Isn't it like the number one or two or three? It's not number one, but it's the first or second or third biggest killer. It doesn't actually kill you, but it leads to such deterioration in your brain, and then your lifestyle, and you don't eat and you don't walk and all these things, and pretty soon you die.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't technically die, would say, quote unquote, from Alzheimer's, but the complications. And in Orange County, 65 and older is the only growing population in this county. So we actually have a higher population percentage within
That's a whole nother topic we've talked a lot about. We had a lot of mayors and water boards and public officials in here through the years. And they all talk about the aging of Orange County. They're rapid. Some of these places like Newport Beach and stuff, the coastal areas, more affluent areas, are like 35% over 65 now. Maybe it's more than that. I don't know. It's a high number, whatever it is.
It's definitely a high number, and just statistically across the U.S., right, 10,000 people turn 65 every day.
Wow.
And as of, I want to say 2035, 65 and older as a population will outnumber 18 and younger for the first time in American history. So we're about to see a big shift in just culture and society.
This baby boom is turning into a silver tsunami here, as they say.
That's right, and it's here.
It's here. All right, so let's talk about some of that stuff here. You somehow stumbled into this area, and as many did. What do you got other than pills and the hope for, operations and stuff here to prolong my life? Not just to make me live longer, too, but make me live better.
That is exactly it, right? Longevity, first of all, to me, longevity is defined as living longer, but living healthier.
Yeah.
No point of living to 140 if you're going to live
in a nursing home. Yeah.
Exactly. What's the point? So
Right.
for me, like I say, have been very fortunate to have had that kind of upbringing. And at this time, what to do. My personal philosophy in medicine, I might maybe get in trouble from the medical society, but
I think you're one of many who are suddenly saying, what else he got? Because the patients are saying, what else he got?
Exactly. So for me, my personal philosophy has always been fewer pills, fewer doctors, and fewer procedures, the better. And my goal is to help people and patients help themselves. There's a lot of power within. And for me, I'm very practical. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. We've had a guy that does some shows with us here who practices Chinese traditional medicine, a doctor.
Okay.
Dr. Trin met him a couple times, and he does not acupuncture, but acupressure.
Okay.
And it's all based on this belief that there's somehow this magic meridians, that there's energy flowing through your body through this system meridians that have been mapped out for 1,000 years. But scientists struggle to say, I don't see it anywhere, and I don't know if it's really there or if it's just a old voodoo, an old wives' tale, or traditional healing method. But it's been around for 1,000 years. Indian Ayurvedic, I'm told, is very similar to that approach. So in Indian Ayurvedic traditional medicine, do they believe there's energy flowing through your body through meridians?
Yeah, absolutely. Indians believe a lot in kind of energy. We believe in like chakras, which are basically energy nodes in your body that are unlocked with like meditation, proper exercise, proper diet, and that can help you attain your better physical health, mental health, and hopefully more spiritual connection with a higher power, whatever you want to call it.
And his belief is, as he's explained it to me, is that if these energy nodes or chakras, or they call them meridians, are blocked and the energy's not flowing, that's when bad stuff happens. That's when your body reacts, just as it does, Dr. Trin always said, with inflammation is indication there's something wrong within the body. The body's trying to fight a fever, trying to fight an infection, trying to fight since it's aggravated, it's inflamed, there's something wrong there. So all of these, it's logical then, if there is energy, to get the energy flowing so that it can heal itself, I guess. It can fix some of this stuff. Correct some of these situations. I know that's a bold statement, and it's not supported by any Western doctor in the world here, but more and more of them are looking at acupuncture, acupressure. I don't know, many they're looking into Indian Ayurvedic or other sorts of things, but why not? It's all
for me, I'll do anything to help my patients. And I always think of pills and pharmaceuticals. I'm not anti-pills. I'm not anti-medicine. If you need it, it's there. But
Right.
that's always like plan B. A lot of times we're so quick to be like, oh, I got a problem. Give me a pill. Let me take this. I say, wait, there's got to be something else that you can try before we jump into that. And there's a lot.
And I lived through this. I'll share this. My late mother and late father were on 1 million pills late in life, and they started having terrible reactions. My mother was really a zombie the last few years of her life. She was on a dozen different pills. And nobody, I'd say, what happens if you take all these pills? One guy prescribed this, another specialist this, another specialist this. They said, we don't know. We don't run endless studies to see what happens when you mix this cocktail of pills. I can tell you it made her a zombie. It might have relieved some of these little symptoms and chronic problems, but it didn't make them go away. It didn't make her better. And in fact, it made her more of a drug addict, it looked like to me, a zombie.
Yeah, I could see that. A lot of times we're told, oh, you got a problem? Take a pill. Oh, wait, that pill gave you a problem? Take another pill. And I'm like, wait a minute. That does not make sense. And a lot of times...
One on top of another on top of another here.
Exactly. You're basically... And another thing I want to touch on is the fact that nowadays we're so big on longevity that a lot of people take supplements. And I'm also on the fence because I got patients take 0 pharmaceuticals. They will tell me, Dr. Patel, I don't take pharmaceuticals.
That's my wife. She doesn't want to take any pills.
But they'll take 20 nutraceutical pills. I'm like, how is that any different? Is it regulated? What exactly is going into those? So there's a fine balance between just pill taking.
A lot of shows on that, too, because it isn't regulated. You may not even be getting what you think you're getting. We've done shows in the cannabis world, and I know Dr. Trin's worked in that. And CBD and other derivatives of cannabis plants, you can go to Walmart now and get them, and for mostly to fight inflammations. But you think you're getting this, but it isn't. No, it's not under the FDA, so they're not scrutinizing it to see if it's there or to see if other things aren't included in there. I don't know, metals or other sorts of things that you don't want in your body here. So, yeah, that's a whole. You touched on several topics. Let's go back to square one. We definitely are we were up until recently living longer, but the last couple the decade or so, not just because of COVID, we seem to have reversed that. We seem to be dying younger. At least those, I guess it is a split between the college-educated and the uncollege-educated, the ones who are more the blue-collar, working class, rural class, and the more affluent, educated class who maybe has more money to go chase this thing or something, or to do exercise and stuff. I don't know, but for the first time ever, I've seen longevity go down.
Yeah, we are. I think it's partially due to our lifestyles, of course. That plays a big role, us sitting a lot. And it's pretty simple. 2 things. Forget seeing a doctor. If you want to help yourself, food, exercise.
Yeah,
Those
right.
2, exercise is medicine.
You are what you eat, as they say.
You are what you eat, absolutely. So a lot of times nowadays, I ask patients, what is food? I can go to 7-Eleven right now and get a full meal, but what am I really eating? What is it?
Let me give you, and this, again, is, go look it up. We did this, there was this giant Clotho conference put on here at UCI, this protein that people have studied for 20 years, and its connection from everything from Alzheimer's to dementia to heart disease to cancers to hair loss and skin deterioration, all these things that seem to happen. One of the common ingredients is the loss of the protein. Not something you ever hear about. Hundreds, maybe thousands of papers have been written on this, but it's still in that academic world, not out in the public world. Anyway, there was a guy at this conference. And he said, I'm not here to talk about Clotho. I'm here to talk about phosphates. And he said, because phosphates, the only reason I'm here is because we found the phosphates help flush out this Clotho protein. And he said, where do we get phosphates? Look at all the food you eat. It's filled with all those little things you don't know what benzoate or something is. It's a phosphate. And he said, what do they use phosphates for? They use them in fertilizer. And so what's it growing in your body? It ain't growing good things. It may be growing cancer cells, but it's certainly interacting with calcium, if I understand correctly,
right,
and forming looks like little bones, little calcites, little crustaceans in your heart and your lungs and all this other stuff, which then causes massive problems, pulmonary problems, heart problems, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it's clearly, he says, just an overdose in our diets. He said, and his whole thing was, why don't we regulate it? Why don't we monitor it? Why don't we even mention that we talk about sugar, we talk about salt, why don't we talk about the amount of phosphate that we're consuming? Fascinating discussion.
Right.
All to the point of this fake food, this processed food that we're ingesting morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things, and my goal is to help educate my patients. So, like when I do my social media, I'm always trying to make simple things and practical things that patients can do now without seeing anybody. They can do in the luxury of their home or their car, wherever they are, because the reality is everybody needs to be on board with their health. Because, to be honest, I love my patients. I'll take care of them, but I need my patients to take care of themselves as well.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can do.
Right. And how much you can fix after the
Right.
fact, after the damage has been done, after you've smoked, after your obesity, after you got diabetes, after you've got heart disease and all, et cetera, et cetera. All these things are just becoming, or Alzheimer's and dementia, all these things are becoming way too common. So I don't know if we can stop any of those things. I don't know if we can ever prevent them and turn back the magic clock like everybody hopes. That is everybody's hope. Give me a pill. Fix my bad habits. I haven't exercised. I've eaten crappy food. I've smoked. I drank too much. I did this. I did that. I ate all this phosphates or whatever it is. Now fix me.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Say, hey, I've had this pain. And I never had a pain before. Why now? And I always explain. I say, your body is your unconscious mind. And it has its own memory. And it will remind you when it wants to remind you versus when you want it to remind you.
I never heard that before.
So a lot of times I have patients who maybe they drink a lot of alcohol or smoke or eat poorly. And I tell them, live your life. You can do this, no problem. You can abuse your body, no problem. But don't come back in 20 years and blame me when things start to break down because of everything that's been going on.
And that should be one of the difference from Eastern, or I'll say non-Western medicine. Non-Western medicine's intervention.
Right.
You come, it's an oil mechanic. My car's making a funny noise. Fix it. And so they do something. And they give you a pill, they give you a procedure, and send you on your way. Whereas I'm told in Eastern practices, or maybe even in Indian practices, if that's considered an Eastern kind of medicine, non-Western, the physician, the healer, is there to prevent you from getting sick, not to fix you when you are sick. Is that right?
Absolutely. So I feel very fortunate because I do have my own office, my own private practice. So I feel like I am the bridge between Western medicine because I was trained traditionally here I'm a DO, the doctor of osteopathy.
Right.
So I was trained under proper Western medicine, including surgeries and pills. But I come with already that background in Eastern medicine. So sometimes I joke and say I'm Dr. Shaman. So that's kind of like my nickname in a sense.
And I'll go
both.
further. When I was a kid, DOs, doctors of osteopathy,
Yes.
they weren't quite accepted as regular doctors because they had a certain amount of, what do you do, manipulation and other
Correct.
sorts of things?
OMM, osteopathic manipulation, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I know it's just that barrier's been broken down. I don't know if it's nationwide, but
Yeah.
certainly here in California. And you're a regular licensed physician, like you can go to hospitals and prescribe pills and all the things that the traditional MDs can do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the beauty of it. Because I'm traditionally trained Western medicine, DOs are more holistic in their approach to begin with.
Right.
And then, of course, with my background, like some things I recommend to patients, longevity in a sense, like simple things, breathing, breath is life.
Right. That's a whole nother one. Yeah, boy, we could talk
absolutely.
about that one forever. Taking full breaths, getting your full lung. Because one of the things I saw when my parents would start going in and the hospital a lot was the first thing they'd do is put an oxygen, measure their amount of oxygen in their body, and it was always low.
Exactly, right? A lot
Always
of times
low.
we don't really breathe intentionally. And then, of course, I talk about food. I'm a big believer in fasting myself, so I do prolonged fast. I recommend
Dr.
intermittent.
Trin was always a big believer in
Yeah,
fasting.
and I just did a 87-hour water fast about 2-3 weeks
Wow.
ago with just water. And then
I fasted for maybe an hour today.
if I tell you to fast for your blood work, you might do it for longer.
Yeah.
And then I'm big on, like I said, exercise, of course, including strength training, meditation. I'm also very big on cannabis and psilocybin, so
Really?
I recommend that to patients.
Those are all
Definitely cannabis.
topics we could talk about in
Absolutely.
the future, cannabis and psilocybins, because that's a whole world. I grew up in the world of Timothy Leary and psilocybins, magic mushrooms, and LSDs and all that sorts of stuff. In the beginning, they thought it was a therapeutic approach, and then it got blown way out of proportion, and people were just dropping acid and dropping magic mushrooms, and then they became frightened, and all this stuff was banned. And now it's actually making its way back into various therapies, particularly, I know, psychiatrics. And
Oh, yeah.
sorts of
It's
things.
very cool stuff going on with cannabis. I've been a big believer, big supporter of cannabis. And then psilocybin, a lot of great research about Alzheimer's, even being geroprotective. So we talk about that.
What does
the
that
protein, it means is age protective. So
Oh,
we talk
okay.
about that protein you're talking about
Yeah.
that they discovered. They're finding research articles or research that maybe psilocybin can also protect us from aging and maybe help with neuroplasticity or possible rewiring of the brain.
Yeah.
And it's all natural. So it's
And
pretty
that's,
cool.
of course, what all the cool people, the Joe Rogans and the Robert Kennedys and all, and the Mel Gibson, they're all talking about little stuff you can do to biohack your body and things you take or do to treat your body like a computer. I'm going to trick it into doing preventative things, to not aging, to not doing these, to slow it down or stop it or reverse it here. Right. So all of that stuff is stuff we could talk about in the show. I hope you'll come back and do more of these conversations, because I'm the audience. We're all getting older, and people say to me all the time, hey, your parents lived to be in your 90s. You could well be 100. And I say, is that the good news or the bad news?
Yeah. And
Not just the money. What am I going to do to support that lifestyle? But what kind of lifestyle am I going to live? Am I going to be like my parents the last 20 years of life? My mother had Parkinson's disease, and then it became dementia. My dad had strokes, and my dad had heart bypasses and cancer. And boy, those last 20 years, the two things that struck me that I read over and over again and lived firsthand is those last 20 years of your life, you spend like 80 or 90% of the money you spend your whole lifetime in cost. It was incredibly expensive, and it didn't work because they all got older and it was miserable.
That's the idea. That's why I'm so big on do it now. Help yourself now when you can, because I always tell my patients, is that really the life you want to live? Like, do you want to live this life? Because you've seen it maybe from, like I said, your parents or whatnot. They've seen it.
Obesity, overweight, dementia, cancers, couldn't breathe, couldn't walk, couldn't get up, all the things that just, it was horrible. It fell all the time. Oh my God, because they were weak and they tripped, and my mother, her legs ballooned up with edema and stuff, and it was like, she said, like elephant legs, like trying to lift something up. And it was a vicious cycle. The more they increased, the less she walked. The less she walked, the more they increased. It's just never-ending cycles like this.
It is. It's a vicious cycle, and it's easy for me to tell my patients, hey, you got to do X, Y, and Z, but I try to see where they're coming from, because what's the point of going to a doctor if they're not able to communicate with you or able to get through to you? So my biggest goal is always to ask, like, patients and people, why? Who cares? Don't do anything. Just eat, drink, sit all day and
Right.
then whatever, who cares, and just wait and see what happens. Or you do something and something will happen. And it really, I tell patients all the time, this is a team effort. And
Yeah.
this is, at the end of the day, this is your ultimate
And I
choice.
think that's why my generation, the aging baby boomers, are different. At least I hope we're different. We're at least willing to hear different things. We're willing to explore. At the end, my parents would try anything.
Exactly.
They had chronic conditions, persistent problems for which there was no cure. There was no answer. The pills merely covered it up. And one pill on top often made it worse. Side effects and all the other things. Why do so many people got into taking opiates and all that kind of stuff? Because in the beginning, hey, I got a pain, and then I'll take it for every pain, and pretty soon I'll just take it all day long. These things can be abused, they can be overused, they can be overprescribed, they can cause side effects, they can cause interactions, a whole world that goes with stuff. Yes, you got a surgery, you need an opioid, great, take it, but don't take it forever.
Yeah, exactly. And we've also developed this into society. Like, hey, you got a problem? Take a pill. Obviously,
instant answers.
Yeah, as pharmaceuticals, we're the only country in the world besides New Zealand that can advertise prescription medication directly.
I didn't know that.
Yes, directly on print, including magazine, TV,
I did
radio.
not know that. Okay.
If you ever notice, ask your doctor if you got this. Like, why would you ask your doctor for something you don't even have? So it's like you're almost recommending, like, just check and see, just in case.
Give me another pill.
Yeah, just see what we got. So that's a really big thing because we have advertised it. So if you advertise, people are going to say, oh, I want it, or let me check and see. And then I get asked those questions like, hey, I saw on TV, and I tell people a lot, especially in the age of internet and chat GPT.
Dr. Google. I don't need
Dr.
you.
Google.
I got Dr. Google.
And I tell patients, I say, look, I want you to be educated. Do your homework, but just, you know how they say drink responsibly? So I tell them Google responsibly.
Google responsibly.
Google responsibly, because you will find any lecture or any answer you want to find.
Yes. Again, and that's the frustration because yes, I should be my own patient advocate. Yeah. My parents did whatever their doctor said blindly, willingly, take this, do this. They trusted him completely. Yeah. Somewhere along the way, we started to lose some of that trust. I'm not sure. Maybe when we only see doctors for 5 minutes and we see all the overprescription, overabuse of pharmaceuticals. Whatever it is, I know that my wife and myself, like my wife's a perfect example. She has high blood pressure. And the doctor will say, did you take your blood pressure medication? Sometimes. And you'll say, what are you doing sometimes? I don't know if I trust it. I don't know if I believe it. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I don't care. You're not the doctor. I'm telling you, you got to bring it down. Then she's, what else you got? Maybe it's diet. Maybe it's exercise. Give me some other approaches, because pills aren't, we're suddenly anti-pills. We're worrisome about pills. And we've seen what happened to our aging parents when they just took pills and did nothing else. Didn't work.
Exactly. So that's why I say pills are a part of the toolbox, right? A lot of tools are within ourselves. And so for me, it's, okay, how do we open or unlock the tools that you can use yourself before that? And we just combine it.
Do you think the body has more potential? This clotho-protein is one. Indian and Chinese medicine seem to suggest there is an inner energy flowing through your body that, if redirected or allowed to flow freely, can fix a lot of things here. I know that's controversial in Western medicine. They'd say, hooey, show it to me. There hasn't been a lot of clinical studies on it, but 1,000 years of practice in these countries here leads people to believe, a lot of anecdotal evidence that maybe there is something
Absolutely.
to that.
Let's be honest. I'm all for the research and the data that we do clinical. We need it. God bless all of the researchers, PhDs, everybody who's involved in just patient care from any part of it. But look, I can't see the wind, but I can feel it. I haven't seen a single research article to disprove the wind. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
For us to believe that we are only a physical being is very minimal thinking.
I'm a good Irish Catholic. I believe in an afterlife, but nobody's been able to prove that one yet.
Exactly, right? No one can prove it. There's no mathematical equation about it. But at the same time, it's like, look, we have to look beyond, right? If you're think of on a very basic level as a human or as a being, you are light, or is it what, wave and a particle, I want to say.
Yeah.
So we're learning a lot about what they call
energy
medicine, frequency medicine, sound medicine. So yes, that is definitely
something
there.
in here a while ago. Is it, what's the chanting where you do
Om or yes?
What am I trying to say here?
Like a mantra.
Yeah, but what's that called? That's called, I'm blanking in the word. Sorry, it's time to get older here. And she said that there are people out there just chanting the world, thinking that they can create a vibrancy, a frequency, a healing force that penetrates people just from that recitation. at a certain tone, at a certain frequency, at a certain level, that can create energy, and that can have a healing effect. Sounds pretty wild to me, but who knows?
Hey, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, I tell patients, you got nothing to lose, right? Because worst come to worst, you take a pill, we move on, but you might as well try what you can. And that's why for me personally, I have my own practice, but I'm very big on education. So I lecture and educate with Alzheimer's Orange County. I give talks about it. I lecture and educate on my social media. And I just want to help people empower themselves and be aware, hey, there's more to yourself and more that you can do besides asking me for a pill. And maybe you don't have to see me for a pill next time. We could talk about the good things that have been happening in your life versus you coming in with problems. I have patients who come in, they say, why am I here? I say, that's exactly what I want you to ask. Because do you ever go to your car when the tires are flat and the engine light's coming on?
So
No.
let me ask you one other part, because you've raised half a dozen different topics
Sure.
that we could talk about. Western medicine versus non-Western medicine. Can the body heal itself, or do you have to inject something and put it back in? Are there ways to prevent or slow down or even reverse some of these aging effects in our body here? And how much effort should we be putting into it, as opposed to letting the car run down and then we just take it in the shop and want you to fix it quickly, and then we go out and start driving it badly here again? All of those are topics, food and pills and procedures and all these things I'd love to hear more about. But I guess what I'm wondering is, what is your time frame when you do this? Because that's one of the other things that constricts. I go to my doctor and say, can we talk about my diet? Can we talk about exercise? Can we talk about, I'm interested in meditation. I'm interested in Chinese acupuncture or whatever to try. I'm interested in cannabis to reduce inflammation. They go, time's up. I got 5 minutes, buddy.
Yeah, that's why I'm grateful, because I have my own practice. I have that flexibility to sometimes either extend my visits, maybe 20 minutes, even 30. Sometimes for physicals, we're talking 45 minutes to an hour. So I really try to spend time with my patients. And it's funny because, I'll be honest, I'm not big on social media. I've never been a fan, but I've come to realize social media, I had patients come to me oh, I saw a 19-year-old telling me to touch my head or pick my ear, and I'll cure myself. And I'm like, wait,
take this thing and magic will happen.
Yeah, they're taking they're getting their information and applying it from somebody random on social media.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I realized, you know what, So I got on social media now, and I realized, let me start educating there, since clearly a lot of people are getting their info anyway. So I've learned that's another tool to help them.
And we're all based on feelings this world.
Right.
I think this is a whole nother series of talks we've done on other shows. This is my own personal soapbox. I think we live in a post-factual world. Yeah. We don't believe facts and myths. We don't believe scientists. We don't believe statistics. Everybody's got their own alternative facts, as was famously said a while ago here. And so you watch one channel and they got one fact. You get another channel and you can watch another fact. Red and blue all have different views of the same occurrences here. So wherever you go, we don't trust experts anymore. We trust our feelings. And so my wife would say, so how do you find somebody new? How do you find something? You ask your friends, how do you feel about that? What do you feel? And I'm like, what does your friend know? Any more than when COVID was going on, we were in the studio here and we were allowed to be open because we're a vital service for a radio station. And people would ask me all the time, well, you're talking to these people, how do you feel? Is COVID real? Is COVID fake? I said, what do I know? I'm just telling you what I hear.
Yeah.
But what we hear is from influencers or friends is probably usually more influential on us than the scientists, experts that we grew up on that suddenly we distrust and we're not sure. How does it feel? My wife, I don't know, does that feel good to me? Does that feel like it makes sense I should take these pills? I don't know. It doesn't feel right. And so we're basing everything on feelings. And that's a frightening world where we, the uneducated, are suddenly feeling our way through these problems rather than trying to find real solutions.
Yeah, feelings are fleeting in a sense, right? Emotions are energy in motion, so they come and go. And now with Dr. Google, Dr. AI, it's easy for everybody to diagnose themselves. So I tell my patients straight, I say, don't believe me, challenge me. You look it up yourself. Don't expect me to know. You do the homework too. Ask me questions, challenge me.
Do your own clinical research.
Since you're already doing it, what I usually do is I actually guide them. I say, you know what, why don't you look these things up? So that way, instead of doing random research, I give them like a list of homework, and they say, then you challenge me, ask me questions. And if you don't feel I'm giving you the right info, then of course I will explain it. And what I do longevity based, I also practice like fast, meditation, journaling, eating well, exercise, red light, you name it.
Fasting and red light. You read off all the future episodes.
I do all that stuff. Yeah, I do all of that stuff myself. So
and sometimes I wonder, are these fake? Are these real? Does it feel right? Does it feel good? Just because I'm hearing people say I had some results, I can't prove it, but it felt good to me. All of these are, so with that, we're just one big guinea pig, and we have to experiment in our own bodies till we find that combination that works for us. That seems to be the generally accepted theory of health and wellness today here. I'm going to try all these things and see what I feel good about or what makes me feel better. But I sometimes wonder if we couldn't benefit from more expertise and more insights into the random stuff that's flying at us left. And it's always contradictory. Are eggs good or eggs bad? 1 week they're good, 1 week they're bad. Should I eat the white? Should I eat the red or the yellow? I don't know anymore here. Is red wine good? Is red wine bad? All these things, different studies, different facts come out. All they do is confuse me. And so I'm either back to doing nothing and just hoping for the best, and hope isn't much of a plan, or I'm feeling my way through it in the dark.
Yeah, exactly, right? Let's be honest. The news, everything causes cancer, everything cures it. Causes cancer is living. What causes disease is living now. And it's like, how do I live? Plastic and this and air. Look, you got to live life. Like, life is meant to be lived. So I'm very, practical. I'm not telling you to eat rice cakes and stay in like a closed off room and with HEPA filter.
Yeah.
You got to live your life, enjoy your life, but maybe moderation. And it really comes down to standard stuff.
Right.
Sleep. For me, the 4 pillars of health is physical exercise, diet, exercise, sleep, and stress. So if you don't really need a doctor for those 4 things, that is usually in your control. So forget all the other things.
Then why don't we control them? We don't do anything.
That's a choice. That's a whole different conversation of psychology of choice we could have. Yeah. That's a very...
All of these are conversations I look forward to having with you if you'll come back and do some more of these things here. And I think we can share them with your audience and see if we can get some insights. And people can maybe even write in and ask us questions, and we can address some of these different topics one by one. Red light, sleep, exercise, the psychology of why we do or don't do things, feeling our way through the world blindly. Why don't we trust the facts anymore here? All of that leads to an interesting conversation, what we call Health Talks. How do they reach you if they want to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so of course you can reach our office at 714-771-2800. But the best way, really, if you really want to know, like I said, look me up. If you really want to know, am I legit, or if I'm some random quack doctor, you should look me up. I'm on all social media, including TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
And now podcasts.
And podcasts. And my handle, or whatever you call it, is at Dr. So Dr. Neal H. Patel. So Dr. Neal H. Patel. And yeah, check yourself. I speak Spanish too, so I've been starting to release some videos in Spanish as well. So I'll let you decide what you think.
It isn't just if I believe you. I need a guide. I need a Sherpa. I need somebody to take me through this because I'm confused.
I'm your guide.
I never studied any of this. I don't understand it. And I don't think the best way is for me just to feel my way through the dark.
That's right.
I need a guide. I need somebody to help me that I can work with, who isn't going to necessarily tell me what to do, but is there for me to assist me and train me and coach me and help me along this journey, because it is a journey. And more and more, I can't just rely on others to do it. I can't do nothing. That was the plan so far. I got to do something. I can see that. Otherwise, I'm headed towards the same cliff my parents fell over. But what do I do? How do I do it? That's where I need some help.
I'm your doctor, and that's why I'm Dr. Shaman, combining the Western and Eastern
I love it.
bridge.
All right. Look forward to chatting some more.
Thank you.
There you have it. Wow, if that doesn't intrigue you to hear more, I don't know what will. It's a world we're all heading towards, and we hope it's going to be a healthy one, because it's going to be a longer one. Is it a good life or a struggling life? It's up to you to decide. Come and join us as we explore it together on Health Talks. Dr. Trin, right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.